Good evening and welcome. We begin tonight with new details surrounding a major roster move by the Chicago Bulls, a transaction that has drawn significant attention across the NBA and particularly among fans in Chicago. A report released on Tuesday confirmed that the Bulls have traded veteran center Nikola Vucevic, a former two-time All-Star who had become a long-standing presence with the franchise. The development comes after months of speculation about Vucevic's future, including talk that the organization was weighing the possibility of extending his contract rather than moving him ahead of the trade deadline. Vucevic, a 6'9" center who played college basketball at USC, had been with Chicago for 5 years following an earlier deal that brought him to the Bulls from the Orlando Magic. At that time, Chicago paid a substantial price to acquire him, sending away 2 future lottery draft selections along with young defensive-minded center Wendell Carter Jr. The expectation was that Vucevic would help anchor the team's front court and contribute to playoff contention. Over the years, he became a familiar figure in the Bulls' lineup and locker room, and despite approaching his mid-30s, he remained a central part of the roster conversation. This season, Vucevic is set to turn 36 during the summer, and he was entering the final stages of an expiring contract valued at $21.5 million for the 2025-26 season. Reports had circulated that Bulls management was at least considering the possibility of a new agreement that would keep him in Chicago beyond the end of that deal. Instead, the organization chose a different path, finalizing a trade that sends Vucevic to the Boston Celtics. The return package for Chicago is notably smaller than what the franchise once surrendered to bring Vucevic aboard. In this latest transaction, the Bulls acquired guard Anthony Simons' expiring contract, along with what has been characterized as a second-round draft pick swap. While the full details of that swap were not initially disclosed, additional information has since clarified how the exchange of future picks is expected to unfold. According to the report, Boston currently holds 4 second-round selections in the 2026 NBA draft. The best of those 4 picks, which is projected to be the New Orleans Pelicans selection, will now be transferred to Chicago as part of the agreement. In return, the Bulls will send the Celtics their rights to a second-round pick originally belonging to the Denver Nuggets in 2027. The value of that exchange is influenced by the present performance of the teams involved. Denver has remained competitive and is expected to continue doing so into the 2026-27 season, which would likely place its 2027 second-round pick later in the draft order. Meanwhile, New Orleans has ranked among the weaker teams in the league this year, meaning its 2026 second-round selection is anticipated to fall near the top of that round, in the range of picks numbered 31 through 35. Financial considerations also played a role in shaping the transaction. Vucevic's salary is approximately $6 million less than that of Simons, a difference that helps reduce Boston's luxury tax burden while adding an experienced veteran to its roster. Because the Bulls are facilitating that cost savings for the Celtics and contributing a player with a lengthy resume, Chicago is positioned to receive what has been described as the more favorable future draft asset within the structure of the swap. Reaction inside the Bulls' locker room has already begun to surface. Following a lopsided loss to the Milwaukee Bucks, a game in which the Bucks were shorthanded, Chicago starting shooting guard Kobe White spoke about Vucevic's sudden departure. White's comments were reported by Julia Poe of the Chicago Tribune. In those remarks, White described Vucevic as a leader in the locker room and acknowledged that seeing him traded was difficult for many on the team. He added that while players naturally feel the emotional impact of such changes, they still have responsibilities on the court and must continue to compete. White, who is currently the longest-tenured player on the Bulls roster, was also mentioned in Poe's reporting as someone who could potentially be involved in future roster moves. The article states that Chicago appears reluctant to meet the financial demands that would be required to re-sign him when he reaches free agency this summer, placing his long-term status with the team in question. Taken together, the trade marks the end of an era for Chicago and signals another step in the organization's ongoing reshaping of its roster. A player once acquired at considerable cost has now been moved for salary relief and future draft positioning. While questions continue to surround the direction of the franchise and the fate of other veteran contributors. As we continue, we will move deeper into the specifics of how this deal was structured, the precise draft considerations involved, and the immediate context surrounding Vucevic's exit from Chicago, as we transition now into part 2 of our detailed breakdown.